Hello, there are some big changes coming in the United States of America. I refer not to the changing of presidential administrations, but for the first time in 15 seasons, there will be no American Idol this January. American Idol was a program I first became aware of in January of 2003 as I was recovering from a significant illness and living in Bessemer, Alabama, just south of Birmingham. And I'd been working in that area for a company called General Dynamics in telecommunications. And the telecommunications industry had taken a huge plunge, and I'd lost my job. And sometime after the layoff, came down with a life-threatening disease, which turned out pretty well, obviously, because I'm still here and relatively unimpaired from that experience. But in January of 2003, I'd lost my cable, and so I was looking at regular aerial TV and happened on WBRC TV 6, the local Fox affiliate, and caught a new show called American Idol. And this was actually the second season of American Idol. The show had started in 2002, actually the summer of 2002, and it was a huge hit. And of course, Kelly Clarkson was the first winner of American Idol, and they saw right away it was going to be a huge ratings success. So tuned in to Channel 6 one night and saw the most amazing thing. I was immediately struck by Simon Cowell's harsh evaluations of the contestants. I'd never seen anything like it. This guy was extremely blunt, and he told it like it is. He wasn't afraid to insult anybody. And about the same time, a fellow from the area where I was living at the time, Reuben Studdard, became a contestant on the program, and it became pretty obvious from week to week that he was possibly going to soar to the top. And eventually he did win American Idol in 2003. But I figured out something very quickly about Simon Cowell, because he'd gotten kind of a bad guy reputation because he was apparently so mean and harsh to the contestants. But what it didn't take me very long to understand was Simon actually was the good guy. His harsh criticisms were quite possibly saving people from spending the rest of their lives pursuing a dream that absolutely was never going to happen. Because a lot of those auditions were absolutely awful. And how in the world did people get there? You have all these horrible singers, and people apparently told them they were fantastic. So they decided to go audition for a national show and see if they could win a recording contract. And you could see right away that these people were totally unqualified. So to tell them they were doing a good job, or even tell them they were doing a reasonable job, when they were absolutely awful, you weren't doing those people any favors. You know what false encouragement does? It gets people to pursuing dreams that are absolutely never going to happen because they have no talent in those areas whatsoever. So I learned to like Simon pretty quick because he really was the nice guy. Everybody thought in the beginning that he was the mean guy, but he was actually the nice guy. And to put it bluntly, he was the star of the show. The judges, Simon, Randy, and Paula, they all had equal votes, equal say as far as who got to move on in the show and who didn't. But Simon was actually the star of the show. And the other judges, even though their votes were equal, were more or less sidekicks. So American Idol went on to become this huge phenomenon, one of the biggest successes that American television had ever seen, and it saved pretty much the flagging Fox network, which was in a bit of trouble at that time. And there was a lot going on in the United States that made American Idol such a huge hit. There had been serious economic issues at the end of the Clinton administration, Bill Clinton administration, beginning of the Bush administration. It was the post-9/11, the early post-9/11 era, and people were extremely worried about terrorism. And it wasn't going to be long for the U.S., matter of fact, it would happen during the second season of American Idol, the U.S. would be going to war. So there were economic problems, there were international problems, there were terrorism concerns, and people really wanted something to kind of lift their spirits and rally around. And American Idol sort of filled that need, and so that was one reason it was so successful. And another reason, obviously, was Simon Cowell, because he was absolutely amazing to listen to people in this era of sort of political correctness, where nobody was ever supposed to be too harsh. Matter of fact, the company that I'd worked for and lost the job from previously had said, when they were terminating people, letting people go, they said, we don't terminate people, we dismiss people. So we're in kind of this era where nobody can talk straight, and a lot of people are still very upset by straight talk. I've seen this in corporate environments as well. But Simon, he was a straight talker, and he did these people a huge favor. And Reuben Studdard went on to win American Idol, and the whole state of Alabama at that time was rocking. It caused a great deal of excitement, and there was excitement for about 3 or 4 years in Alabama over American Idol, because there were several contestants that got close. And then there was, of course, Taylor Hicks later on, who actually won. And Reuben and Taylor didn't end up with huge careers from American Idol. I guess you could say they got B or C grade careers. They did get careers doing what they wanted to do, and that's worth a lot, but they didn't end up being A-list celebrities. So American Idol was huge in the state of Alabama at that time, and it was also a huge phenomenon with the American public. And it went on to become one of the biggest and most influential pop culture shows of all time. Well, recently it came to an end. The ratings were flagging, and I think there were several reasons for that. And it's kind of a disappointment, because American Idol, to me, it would always come on the air in January, right at the sort of beginning of the post-holiday doldrums, when the weather in a lot of places was cold and gray, and television was kind of stuck in that rerun season that they often have in January and February, and the holidays were over, and it was kind of back to work, and it was kind of a cold and depressing time of year. So American Idol was something to sort of look forward to see this competition, to see who was going to make it, to see the lousy auditions, and see what Simon Cowell was going to do next. And of course, American Idol went on to produce a number of really big stars. Kelly Clarkson was one, and there were several others. Carrie Underwood was one, and Daughtry, Kelly Pickler, all huge stars that were created through the result of being on American Idol. And they were people who never would have gotten that chance otherwise. And so that was a lot of the appeal, because people could work for years to try to establish careers in the entertainment industry and never get there, because the road is just permanently blocked. It's kind of like trying to be a published writer, where, it seems like in the publishing world, people on the New York cocktail circuit have every printed page and all the ink reserved to themselves. Well, getting into the entertainment industry on a full-time business, becoming a professional singer, that's a lot like that too. So with American Idol, people got to see people living in ordinary communities who were in many cases very talented, but if not for that show, they never would have been discovered. And as a result of the show, many of them got satisfactory careers. And 15 seasons is a pretty good run in American television. There are not a lot of shows that last that long. However, I think American Idol came to a premature end, and I think that it could be brought back and quite possibly be bigger than ever if they went about it in the right way. Because as successful as it was, I think it could have been even more successful, and that maybe somebody could bring it back, and it wouldn't be sort of a semi-failure like The Voice, which has failed to ever produce any big stars. Now, what were the problems that may have shortened American Idol's life? I think it was the fact that one of them was the fact that they kept screwing around with the judges panel. I mean, the original formula for success, a lot of that was Randy, Paula, and Simon, but the producers couldn't make up their mind whether they wanted 3 judges or 4 judges, or whether they wanted to have guest judges or not. And they kept screwing around with the panel, which was part of the formula for success. Another big reason, and this has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of the people who won American Idol didn't go on to the big careers that people wanted them to have. I think they lost an awful lot of talent in the process, that they actually lost a lot of the best people along the way, and so that it wasn't the cream that actually rose to the top. And how did that happen? Where did American Idol quite possibly lose some of its best talent? It wasn't in the preliminary auditions, and it wasn't during the live shows. Guess where it was? It was Hollywood Week. Did you see the situations that I always hated Hollywood Week, but did you see the situations that these people got put into? They're staying in these hotels, and they're expected basically, or it's a situation where basically they're going to have to stay up all night and rehearse all night, and obviously they're not going to be at their best the next day. And that's kind of stupid, because if you actually get a career, hopefully you're going to try to be responsible and not stay up all night before a performance or recording session. But these people were forced into this situation where they were likely to do very badly. And not only that, they were forced into these groups where they ended up performing with people who were completely incompatible. They were expected to go out and quickly form relationships and establish groups. And you know what that does? That tilted the show toward the extroverts. And you know what that did? That cut out a lot of the talent. Because how many people in a music career or solo career are going to be constantly paired with people that they are completely incompatible with, they cannot perform well with, cannot get along well? Is that a smart thing to do? So what Hollywood Week actually was, it was a set of hedge clippers. It was just a way to cut people out for no damn good reason, and I'm quite sure that they lost a lot of their best talent that way. So two big problems with American Idol, and one that possibly could be fixed were they to bring the show back. Get a steady judging panel, get the right people on that panel. Maybe some unknown record executive like Simon would be good for the panel, because he sort of came out of nowhere, people didn't know him. And then cut out this Hollywood Week, figure out a way to do individual auditions. I don't know what recording contracts are like, but I get the feeling that a lot of the stars, a lot of the performers don't have the independence that we imagine they do, that maybe there are some record company people pulling strings and kind of messing things up, because there were a lot of people who were not satisfied with their companies. But I think another solution to weeding out the talent, other than Hollywood Week, or in the case of X Factor, boot camp, needs to be discovered. I think it's absolutely stupid to be forcing people into these incompatible groups, because they're not going to do that if they're going to have a successful career, and to be put into these positions where they're going to be rehearsing all night before a performance and be at their worst. There is not a doubt in my mind that American Idol lost a lot of the best talent that way. And that's why a lot of the winners ultimately didn't do so well, because the best people were actually lost during Hollywood Week, when they were forced to get into these groups that were completely incompatible, when they were forced to do ridiculous things like stay up all night. I mean, it was like the producers were actually conspiring to get rid of the best talent. So yes, I think American Idol could come back. I think it could be bigger than ever. But two things they need to do is get a stable judging panel. First of all, get the judging panel right. Get a formula kind of like Randy, Paul, and Simon to start with. And then this in-between section between the preliminary auditions and the live show, they need to figure out a different way, because this idiotic Hollywood Week was causing them to lose a lot of their best performers. And I think if they could just fix those two things, American Idol, or a show like it, could be bigger than ever. And I hope it happens, because this January I'm going to be missing that show. Now we're in a situation where, yes, you'll just have to go to the movies that month if there's anything decent on, because the entertainment options, other than certain professional sports, I guess, are going to be pretty slim. But those are two ideas I've got for possibly bringing American Idol back. And, that'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't it, to get it back new and improved. I sure hope that happens one of these days.